Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here and welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So Storm at Sea is the name of the event that's about to start. It is a water-based Slayer event and the cards are available for preview now. So as usual, let's go in, take a look at the cards, and we will evaluate the strength and the weaknesses of the cards. Again, these are my opinions. Of course, different people have different ways of playing, and so it may work out for you, it may not work out for some others. But in general, what I want to see is, as a complete deck by itself with all of the cards that are available, how strong it is, how well it plays with each other, and how much damage you should be able to expect. Now, what I would like to say is, one of the questions I hear a lot is whether or not somebody should invest in buying the deck if they don't have a lot of gems to start with. And my feedback is always, well, if you don't have a lot of gems to start with, I think the best thing to do is to play the game, play the events, and collect the free cards. So you can see here, there's a lot of ways to collect free cards. The first one is just by collecting the catalyst, you'll be able to get one of the free event cards for free. And then by leveling it up without any additional requirements but to collect trophies, you'll be able to get another 5-star card out of one of these 6. So that's a really good way to not make any investment to get at least 2 cards. And then if you do invest, I would say at least get the relic, because the relics are always going to be helpful. And then depending on your playstyle and how much you want to invest, then you can probably look at getting another one of the guaranteed card in the pack that comes out on the second day of the event. And if it helps, hopefully these videos will help you make a decision on whether or not you want to invest early. All right, so let's take a look at the card. So let's take a look at the free card first, and that is the Circasa. This is a water dragon hero, and so the leader's skill is 300% damage and health for all water dragon heroes as expected. The battle skill, it will create 1 water gem both now and for the next 2 turns, plus 1 additional gem per 10 dragon intensity when tidal wave is active. So lots of words. Basically what this means is it will create at least 1 water gem, and then depending on the number of dragon intensity you have, it will create an additional one for every 10 intensity. But this only applies when you activate tidal wave, and we will talk about how you do that. The difference, so this sounds really good. It's a good spawner card. The only thing is this only spawns non-power gems. So this will only spawn regular water gem. This is important because later on I have an experiment to show the difference in the damage between a regular gem versus power gems. Okay, but you can see here that it's possible to fill up an entire board if you have high enough intensity. And we can talk about that as well. So now let's go into the main event card, which is Maelstrom, Stormbringer. And this is a card, if you take a look at the battle skill, it's called Tidal Wave. So activating this battle skill is what's going to allow your Circasa to then spawn additional gems. So this will also generate, oh, and we didn't take a look at the other card, and we can see that it depends on intensity, and this card has a passive that generates 3 dragon intensity every turn. This is a 5-star, so at 6 stars, it will generate 4 intensity. And then Maelstrom at 5 stars, you can see what it does. It will generate 8 dragon intensity. I would expect that 6 stars, it probably goes up to 10. And then for the next 3 turns, increases water affinity's bonus to fire by up to 40% scale by dragon intensity, and powers up other Storm at Sea abilities. So without the actual numbers, I don't know exactly how much it will power it up by, but it does say that it goes up to 40% at 5 stars. At 6 stars, it goes up to 50%. Keep in mind that water has a 100% bonus against water opponents, so this just boosts up to 150, so you get additional damage boost that way. Now let's take a look at the ultra rare card, Sailor's Bane. So the battle skill here is similar to some of the recent ultra rare, where you get a boost in the attack. So battle skill gets an additional 1,250% damage, and then an additional 25% for every dragon intensity. It could go up if you have your intensity built up really high, but it's not going to be at the level of a Frankenstein or Alexa or the Panda. So just keep that in mind. The passive is really where this the card is more powerful, in that when the tidal wave is active, it will create 1 water gem at the beginning of every turn, with the chance based on dragon intensity to also create a water power gem too. This is again a 5 star, so I would expect at 6 stars this goes up to a power gem 3. So that means once your intensity goes high enough, every single turn you should expect one regular gem and 1 power 3 gem. How many intensity it requires, it doesn't say, so this is going to require some more testing. And then finally, take a look at the 13 times card, Yono, which actually will has it has a higher damage boost up to 1750. It could be the same for the ultra rare at 6 stars. I'm not sure, but then if you take a look at the tidal wave, the passive for when tidal wave is active, it will create 1 water gem and then another water power gem 4. So that's the main difference between the 13 times Slayer, in that it will create a power gem 4 every turn once your intensity is high enough, as opposed to power gem 3 using the ultra rare. So this isn't going to be your type of deck that will create a lot of power gems all at once, but I think this is the type of deck where you expect to have multiple turns of damage. Okay, every 3 turns you're going to be able to create enough gems on the board that fills up a whole board here. So see, the cooldown is 3 turns. So if you can survive, so survivability and quick matches to basically go to the next turn is probably going to be the type of play style that you're going to want to employ here. Okay, this isn't going to be one of the single turn, 2-turn type, deck that can defeat bosses really quickly, but it should be good enough to take out guild bosses. So we will test it out in tomorrow's event when it starts. But what I want to do is I want to do an experiment right now, knowing about the fact that it can spawn a lot of single water gems. I want to show you what it's like when you the difference between spawning just regular gems versus spawning power gems. As you've seen before, when you spawn power gems, if you spawn more than what's on the board, it will actually upgrade to power, basically the next level of power gems, but the same thing doesn't happen for water gem. So what we're going to do is I built this deck using Freya, whose power battle skill actually creates additional water gems for every 30 god intensity. So it's this very similar deck that actually requires more intensity, but there's no limit. So I'm going to take this deck, we're going to try run it against a guild boss, forge boss, and then we'll see what that's going to look like. All right. So to save some time, what I did was I did some pre-work and got the intensity of Freya up to 1200. Her battle skill will actually create water gems and new water gems for every 30 god intensity. So with 1200 there, that means that she's going to create up to 40 gems, and that is 5 more than what's on the board. So with 3 of them, what I want to show is the fact that how it's going to work out. So you can see on the board right now there's no additional power gems anywhere. So first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use up the contestant's intensity here, and then her battle skills. And now let's go ahead and use Freya. So you can see that it creates entire board full of blue gems, and even though she would have created 40, there's nothing that got upgraded. Let's go ahead and use up the other 2 as well, and you can see that even though I'm using additional skills, nothing's getting converted. So now let's see how much damage this will deal with 3 Freyas here. Okay, so let's go ahead and match them. And so we're gonna get a so it looks to be about 41,000, 40,000 or so. And now what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna show you how this works when you actually have power gems that's actually on board. So let's go ahead and just do that. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna create a bunch of power gems using the different gems here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and match them. So let's see here. What I'll do is I'm just gonna do this, and now I've got 5 different power gems on board, and I think I could probably create another one, and then I'm just gonna do this. So I've got actually I think it's probably better for me to just do one more here. And what I wanted to do was actually try and get them closer together. So let's do a quick match here. And so now I've got 6 different power gems. Let's go ahead and use the skill. So you can see that it now converts all of the power gems to blue as well, but it doesn't create any more. And now let's see what the difference is in the damage. So this is going to be a little bit less because I'm only going to be matching at 4 and a 1. But we saw earlier it was about 36,000, and the difference now matching is close to 1 million. Okay, so you can just see that with the presence of additional power gems, how much of a difference that makes. All right, and so I think what you I think what this is telling you is, well, at least what it tells me based on numbers here, is that if you're able to fill up the board with full of blue gems, and if you can have a couple of power gems in there, and then if you can actually swap two, you should be able to deal enough damage to take out the Guild Boss. Although I'm not sure how high the damage is, that still remains to be seen. But at least I wanted to show the mechanics between the the mechanics of how this could potentially work out, right? And also just see here, I missed how many experience you get, but you do get 9,500 gold for defeating a forge boss multiple times after you've already defeated. You don't get any more rewards, you just get some additional experience points and gold. Now, having seen the cards and having seen sort of what their battle skills are and how they all work together, my opinion is that in general, this is not the kind of deck that you want to invest a lot of gems in. It just isn't as powerful as the previous decks that were available, and it's not going to be as powerful as some of the decks that you're going to see in the future. What I see is that the ultra rare is, given how rare it is and how hard it is to get, it's not worth the gems. Even if it's a guaranteed VIP pack at tier 6, you're going to have to spend up to 14,000 gems just to get it, and the return on the investment for that card isn't quite there. It doesn't generate as many power gems as you need to really get that damage boost, and so it's not something that I would recommend. But having said that, the free card, the Circasa, I think is a really good deal. I think it's a really good card that you should look for ways to get more than one of. I think it's worth to have, about 2 and maybe 3 of those cards. I would say at least get, the first one for free, and then decide if you want a second one or not, depending on what you get for your 5-card collection. And also, I would recommend in spending the 1,000 gems and getting the relic. Sometimes you can get lucky and get 2 by tier 2, and if that's the case, then that's great. Relics are always going to be worth it for you, and so if you can spare the gems, definitely look for that as well. So my recommendation, don't spend your gems for this event. Wait for the free cards and see what happens, but definitely don't chase after the ultra rare. I know that I wouldn't, right? I just don't think the return on investment is there. Before I sign off, I wanted to quickly call out this update as well. They're making a change, or they're making an enhancement to Keda's bow. I'm not going to go into too much detail right now because I know not everybody has it, and not everyone has it 6 stars. I know I don't. But the exciting part is they're making an update to it so that, the process of trying to upgrade the bow also allows you to collect, additional rewards such as legendary shards and also crafting materials and a legend relic at the end. All you have to do is participate in Inferno bosses. We will talk about that once the event actually starts, and we will show how that works. But the basic thing here is I'm really excited about the prospect of now that they're going to upgrade these legend relics, because I think what's going to happen is now you can see here, all relics that spawn water gems will now spawn 1 additional water gem when at least 1 water affinity hero is on the team. This is huge because not only do you get additional attack boost as well as the defense boost, you're also going to get, if you have 5 relics, you're going to get 5 additional gems on the board on turn 1 as opposed to 20. Okay, so I'm liking the direction here in what they're doing with the relics. I just wish that they make it a little easier to actually obtain and level up. So I'm going to see what I can do to get Keda, because I do have my Keda Ascended, so I would like to see a bow next to her as well. So anyways, so this is all for this video. Hope this has been helpful for you in terms of the analysis and also my opinions on the deck. Please let me know if you have any feedback, any questions that you may have, and I will see you in the next episode when the event actually starts. Take care.